September 5, 2001. At 7 o'clock that morning, a guard jingling a ring of keys strode down the echoing first-floor corridor of Moscow's Butyrka prison, the wing that housed death row inmates. As he passed each cell, he peered through the Judas windows, making sure the prisoners were obeying reveille. He paused at one cell, where 3 convicts had been waiting nearly 3 months for the Supreme Court to rule on their appeals. For a full minute he stared into the peephole, but saw no one. Then he unlocked the door. The cell was empty. The officers who swarmed in on high alert quickly spotted a hole in the floor beside the lavatory. It led to the basement, an entry point to a sprawling web of century-old service tunnels. So began a manhunt that would grip the entire nation. In Butyrka's long history, only 2 successful escapes were ever recorded, and their secrets remain unsolved to this day. The first came in May 1908, when the American illusionist Harry Houdini staged it as a publicity stunt. After a thorough search, jailers chained him hand and foot, locked him in an iron-bound transport crate used to ship prisoners from Moscow to Siberia, and pushed the crate flush against a wall. 28 minutes later, Houdini stood outside, free. No one had been allowed to watch him, and the trick has never been explained. The second great escape happened in 2001, carried out by 3 lifers: Vladimir Zelazoglu, Boris Butyrskaya, and Anatoly Kulikov. Today's story is how they did it, and what happened next. Born in 1962 in Nikolsk, Karaganda Province, Vladimir Zelazoglu grew up in the Moldovan town of Cedarlunga. Teachers recall a shy, withdrawn boy, never a standout in class. In the early 1980s, his father, a bulldozer operator, moved to Magadan to work the gold fields and took Vladimir with him. On the Arctic frontier, the younger Zelazoglu slipped into theft and robbery, earning his first stint in a penal colony in the mid-1990s. After release, he drifted to the Siberian city of Kansk. He didn't stay free for long. A 1-year sentence for illegal weapons possession followed. Back in Kansk as a hardened recidivist, he formed a gang that graduated from petty theft to armed robbery. In early 2000, the crew broke into the villa of local entrepreneur Nadolsky. They tortured the couple savagely, killed them with an axe, and made off with valuables worth roughly 200,000 rubles. Police soon nailed the gang. The rank and file got heavy time. Their ringleader drew life without parole. Zelazoglu refused to accept the verdict. His lawyers filed a cassation appeal, and in March 2001, he was transferred to Butyrka to await the Supreme Court's review. Sharing the cell 76 with him was 30-year-old Boris Butyrskaya from Anziro-Sudzensk in the Kemerovo region. His criminal resume began in Vladivostok, where he served as a stoker seaman during his compulsory Navy stint. In December 1990, he and 2 drunken shipmates mugged a passerby, then vandalized a parked car. Military police caught them in the act, and a tribunal gave him 7 years. Freed in late 1997, he returned home and took a job as a grave digger. But his quarrelsome nature quickly bred enemies. Chief among them a fellow digger, Vladislav Loskutnikov. Tensions boiled. Loskutnikov quit. Promoted cemetery warden that summer, Butyrskaya soon faced an audit that uncovered financial fraud. Convinced Loskutnikov had sicked the inspectors on him, he plotted revenge. He enlisted a 14-year-old acquaintance. On September 19, 1998, she rang Loskutnikov's apartment. 16-year-old Sasha, Vladislav's daughter, answered the door and became Butyrskaya's first victim. Her throat slashed. The commotion brought out 85-year-old grandmother Natalia Lashkova. He stabbed her in the chest and twice in the back. Loskutnikov himself was off mushroom picking with his wife that day. Arrest followed quickly. A firing squad sentence, later commuted to life, surprised no one except the killer himself. Declaring the punishment excessive, he also appealed, claiming mental illness. Long dreaming of escape, he floated the idea to his cellmate Zelazoglu. With nothing left to lose, Zelazoglu agreed, and the conspirators set to work. First, they smuggled a 1.5-meter length of heavy wire into the cell, squirreled away during outdoor exercise. For days, they sharpened one end against the concrete floor near the toilet, just in case, they said. Then a depression appeared. Butyrskaya jumped on the spot. The slab cracked. A 60 by 60 cm hole opened. Beneath lay sand, then a lime and brick layer, then pipes, the prison's old heating conduit. They replaced the slab, propped it with a sand-filled plastic bag, so guards wouldn't notice the hollow, and masked the joints. Each night, they widened the shaft, flushing sand mud slurry down the toilet and dropping bricks into the basement. Butyrskaya made the first ascent, but returned with bad news. The tunnel network was a maze. They planned more recon the next night. Fate intervened. A third lifer arrived. 34-year-old Anatoly Fix Kulikov from Vernery, Shawshank. A former cyclist and kickboxer, Kulikov led a gang of fellow athletes who racketed small-time merchants and strong-armed several local businesses. He'd been arrested after strangling a Dagestani man and his 2 young daughters, ages 4 and 6, over a car dispute. The court gave him life. Butyrskaya was a stopover en route to a permanent prison. Zelazoglu and Butyrskaya distrusted the newcomer and kept him in the dark. The first night, thinking Kulikov asleep, they slipped below, explored the service yard, even tested the main gate. No guards on the towers, no dogs. They snagged camouflage jackets and caps from the laundry, hid them in the basement, and climbed back up, to find Kulikov wide awake in a grimy uniform. He'd fake sleep, tailed them, lost his way, and scrambled back. Realizing what was afoot, Kulikov begged to join. He even produced $1,000 to bribe a guard for Butyrskaya's fire safety blueprint. Inmates in the next cell supplied a second map. Several nights of surveying followed. They belly-crawled 45 meters before a stone wall of a city sewer collector blocked the path. They smashed through into an abandoned drain, shored up the ceiling, and dug themselves a makeshift bunker. True subterranean engineering. Whenever they returned topside, they washed their filthy prison garb and wore it wet so it would dry by morning. In the early hours of September 5, 2001, they made their move. Guided by the maps, they crawled through pipes beyond the prison perimeter, popped a manhole cover, and emerged unseen. Stephen King's Shawshank Redemption, one writer quipped later, pales beside these pros. How anyone could plot a breakout from Butyrskaya and surface in such a blind spot is beyond me, marveled tunnel expert Vadim Mikhailov. Changing into civilian clothes stashed earlier, the trio headed to Moscow's 3-station square searching for a driver to smuggle them out. They had no cash. No cabbie would take an old portable tape deck Zelazoglu offered as payment. A policeman grew curious and asked for papers. Zelazoglu ad-libbed an address, claiming they'd come from a bathhouse. Kulikov echoed him. Butyrskaya froze, blurting that he was from Siberia. The sergeant decided to haul him to the precinct until his friends could bring a passport. Butyrskaya sidled over to Zelazoglu. What do I do? Step aside, then run, came the whisper. He darted across the street. The cop gave chase, whistling, shouting. And with that, they parted. Zelazoglu and Kulikov hitched a ride for the tape deck to Moscow's Ring Road, then hopped a brick truck to Lipetsy village in the Serpukov district, where Kulikov's 40-year-old cousin lived. She fed them, but flatly refused to shelter them. The fugitives dug a dugout in the nearby woods. Back in Moscow, investigators tore Butyrka apart. The missing inmates were discovered at roll call around 7 a.m. News of the escape set the cell blocks cheering. Special ops troops were rushed in to head off a riot. Finding the hole, guards descended into the basement but couldn't trace the route. Some hoped the trio had lost themselves in the labyrinth and were still underground. The next morning, urban spelunkers led police to a manhole near Gorlovy Dead End, beside a vagrant intake center abutting the Interior Ministry's Palace of Culture. "It took us 1 hour to track the fugitives' trail," Mikhailov recalled. "They were absolute pros. From cell to freedom, just 70 meters. They even collapsed the tunnel behind them to throw us off." More than 250 officers joined the hunt. A sniffer dog followed a scent to Novoslobodskaya Street, then lost it. Weeks slipped by. Sightings poured in from across Russia, none panning out. Authorities posted a 100,000 ruble reward. That did the trick. Tips came that 2 suspicious men were hiding near Lipetsy. According to Zelazoglu, Kulikov's brother and a neighbor sold them out. In any case, the arrest was textbook. Detectives staked out a bus, stopped the pair, sometimes used. One day a bus pulled up, disgorged a squad of FSIN Spetsnaz vehicle, and in seconds both men were down. September 27th, we met Kulikov's brother, Zelazoglu later said. "We stepped behind the shelter. Bang! A grenade went off. I tried to get up and blacked out. It was tear gas. When I came to 3 days later, I was back in that cursed isolation cell." Their freedom had lasted 3 weeks. For 2 years, no one knew what became of Boris Butyrskaya. The detainees claimed that they had nothing to do with his disappearance. Some investigators suspected his partners had killed, and maybe even eaten him. But in May 2003, he resurfaced, gaunt and starving, caught shoplifting in a village store outside Moscow's Lyubitsy district. He carried a passport in the name of Alexei Baranov from Ryazan province. Prints sent to the regional Interior Ministry quickly unmasked him. Today, Butyrskaya is serving life at the Polaral colony. Kulikov is in Black Dolphin. Zelazoglu was sent to White Swan, placed under special watch as an escape risk. "I was 36, full of strength when I broke out," Zelazoglu has said. "Now I'm like a sick old man. I'm lucky to be alive, but life here is like floating in the ocean bargaining with a pack of starving sharks." That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.